All right, Shalom. The Hebrew Israelites come out here week in and week out, prophesy the downfall of the daughter of Babylon, aka America. But first and foremost, I want to say, call Halaga, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Harachachudas. Double honors to the apostles and elders of 7:13:19, where I learned this truth from and who rule well. Salutations to the Bakiyah, the elect, the 144,000. That's 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel consisting of so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous of America. The 144,000 being the governing body within the 1/3. The rest of the 1/3 comprises of elect men, women, and children. Shalom to those Israelites scattered due to the diaspora and also the triangular trade. So our people will come looking like different ethnicities, having various complexions. This is not a black thing. We're not the black Hebrew Israelites. We're just Hebrew Israelites. Shalom to those that die in this truth. It says the dead should be raised up first. Those that will be accompanying Yahweh Shah on his return, including our King, King Mashah, who is King David. As always, it's an honor and privilege, honor and blessing to continue to do this work. The water Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah for answering my prayers and permitting me to do such. Baba Kashah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah allowed us to be an edifying camp to at least one member of the elect, man. I know it's kind of early in the morning, but it's just the way the Most High is building it, man. But for this camp, I wanted to go into prophecy because there's a lot of things popping off that we must speak about. We must howl. We must sound the alarm, especially if we consider ourselves watchmen, man. You know? So, as you read, or how you should read, I should say, the Bible, to get the proper understanding, you don't read it like a regular book, like these people in these churches. You read it according to the direction, the instruction, in which it says this is the way to gain understanding. Because a lot of you go into these scriptures and you don't have any understanding of them, man, which is going to lead to your own destruction. But this is Isaiah chapter 28, verse 9. It says, whom shall he teach knowledge? So whom shall he teach knowledge, man? Those that ultimately had a thirst for it. You know, the burning sensation within us that constantly wanted us to know the why. So we searched for it. Within that search, we wanted to know the true names of the Heavenly Father and the Son, as we determined that the names that were given to us was false. You know? So typically, you see young men coming into this truth, man. Let me get a real quick because most old individuals, they're stuck in their ways, man. They have become toads, which a toad with this level of intelligence, it displays stubbornness. These people that are older typically are stubborn, man. They don't like younger men telling them what to do. They find that condescending. Despite that, they don't understand that The Most High, he don't care about your age, man. He could set up a brother that might be 15 years old as a leader, and you have to acknowledge that, man. So that's a stumbling block. You got certain dudes that don't want to be around younger men or other brothers because they don't want to be told what to do. They look at the younger man as, who is this young whippersnapper telling me what to do? I'm twice his age. But they don't understand what Yahweh Shem Yahushua set up in the spirit, man. Right? But this is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1. It says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth. So you're supposed to remember Yahweh Shem Yahushua when you're young, man. When you're a young man. Where you don't have the opportunity to be tainted with wickedness. As so these old niggas, man. You know, they live the life of sin, but as soon as they get up in age, ready to transition, that's when they want to, you know, try to get right with the Heavenly Father, man. It says, while the evil days come not. Yeah, and a lot of you wait until the last minute, man. You're trying to suck the last dregs out of this kingdom, man, before you decide to get right. But by that time, it's too late, man. All you people, all you niggas straddling the fence, man. You know, one time I got sent to a ward, and one of the security guards was like saying that he knew about Israel, but he couldn't fully get into it because of his job, man. Working at a hospital or whatever, man. I told him, fuck your job, man. And I began to tell him this is what separates the weak from the weak from the real. You know, the real men that serve Yahweh Shem Yahushua with fear and trembling, man. You know, that can, be sent early. You know, as Yahweh Shem Yahushua, he says he sent his prophets rising early, man. Right? It says, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So the Most High, he really ain't looking for individuals like that. Now, there's exceptions. But usually those exceptions come with humility. Right? It says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Right? Going back to Isaiah chapter 28, verse 9 again, it says, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? So it's about understanding the correct doctrine, man. Not that bullshit you learn in Christianity. Not that bullshit you learn going to Catholic church. Or that shit that you learned in that masjid. Or any of these apostates that are suffering from hold on. These apostates suffer from I forget the exact term. I just did a video on it a few weeks ago. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Because I don't do anything of my own, man. You know, I just so happened to be up at this time, and I decided, I just got back from doing laundry. So I said, might as well do the work, man. Okay, no. Trying to scroll through my videos to see where, it's called a normalization of deviancy, man. Because they winged it so much that, those half-ass breakdowns became normalized, man. Those misinterpretations, those contradictions, they became normalized through normalization of deviancy. So all you that don't have the correct doctrine, you ain't nothing but a bunch of deviants. You know? And when Yahweh Shem Yahushua looks at you, he's going to see that you ain't got the Torah, which is, the exemption of judgment. And how do you get that? You get that through the Holy Spirit, giving you the words of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. And me, quite frankly, I can't listen to anything else that is not of the correct doctrine, man. I never could. But yeah, you have certain individuals that have itching ears, and as the scriptures say, the deceiver and the deceiver are his, and if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch. That ditch represents destruction, man. It says them that are weaned from the milk, so you have to start with the milk. As all mammals are nursed for the most part. I'm pretty sure there's exceptions out there. But for the most part, according to my, knowledge, all mammals are nursed, to be built up with that foundational nourishment. And our foundational nourishment is Yahweh Shai, man. And the water Yahweh Shem Yahushua for allowing me to continue to say his name. Because I don't know nothing else. I don't know no one else. It says, and drawn from the breast. For precept must be upon precept. So this is how you read the scriptures. Precept upon precept. Precept upon precept. Line upon line. Line upon line. Here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another tongue, which is this English language, will he speak to this people. And our stammering comes from the spirit. Showing you that this is not this is not robotic. This is raw. This is uncut. This is genuine. This is the spirit flowing through the men of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And certain times they might forget certain things just so they could pray and ask Yahweh Shem Yahushua to put it back in remembrance, and then boom, they receive it again, which is, giving you a demonstration of if you ask, you shall receive, man. Which, boost your faith up, man. Or certain times, hey, you might forget something, but then the Most High give you the memory back. And you might come back later and, expound on it and have a very edifying lesson, man. Right? So we're speaking to you people. You people being the people on this sign. Now we don't know for sure, for certain, who is who as far as being from the line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So therefore, we're instructed to pretty much preach to all. Because when you go and fish in the sea, you can't make all the unclean animals and position them into a certain part of that sea and say, look, stay in this part of the sea. I'm gonna go, fish where the good fish are, where the clean fish are. No, the Most High has them all mixed together, man. You know? So you might have a brother that look like a so-called white man. You might have a brother that look like a so-called Japanese or Chinese or Elamite, East Indian, or even a so-called Jew, man. And you know, despite the spiritual animosity we have toward these certain nations, we have to consider that certain of these nations are Jake. You know? So we preach to the wind, man. We teach all nations, and also these nations need to receive their sentencing, their judgments. Because we're here reading your sentence. You know, it says, to whom he said, this is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest. And this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear. And, you know, I was thinking, even in my own plight, my biggest hindrance has been trauma, man. And that's what our people suffer from. They suffer from trauma. But this word is that refreshing. This word is the rest. Trusting in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh's words to comfort you in that trauma, man. Which is medicine to thy soul. Having a power that shall not lie, telling you that everything's gonna be okay. I'm gonna wipe the tears from your eyes, man. Now there's some people that really deal with that trauma by the means of this world: drugs, alcohols, getting money, stacking riches, being a nigga. You know, and there's some that deal with that trauma by being comforted by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Harakadosh. And that's the separation that's being made right now. That's the line being drawn in the sand, man. Who are you gonna serve? Who and what are you gonna submit yourself to? The mass majority of you, are you gonna submit yourself to the God of this world, which is the spiritual demon Satan, man? It says, but the word of Yahweh was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken. And why is that? Because they got to pay for their sins, man. So right now, what we're seeing according to prophecy, let me bring this scripture out, because this is the spirit you got to be in these times, man. These people don't even know that, you know, this might be the year that millions of people are going to die, man. But this is Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not, I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren. So the heavenly angels are actually our brethren, man. That have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. And the only way you could have the testimony is if you have testes. That's why in the scriptures it says his voice is to the sons of men, pursuing the Proverbs, the 8th chapter, the 4th verse. right? It says, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai, worship Yahweh. For the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy, man. To say before, man. We've been saying these things, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, of course. Now, the only reason why I don't say GMS in the intro, I say 71319, which is the equivalent letter or the equivalent number of the letter, is because a couple years ago they said if you weren't in specifically, Great Millstone, don't say it in your introduction. So out of respect for that, but in no way am I being stripped of the knowledge that I have maintained since I, first put my hand on the plow, man. And Yahweh Shai Ratazah, he allows me to continue all the way till the end, whether I be of the elect or not, man. If it ain't nothing but to further give his name glorification. Even in rejection, some still praised and gave their life to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, man. Right? Because everybody talks that machoism until it's their turn, and then, they experience it. And we're so close to the end, I would have rather experienced it, 10 years ago than have to experience it now when you ain't got no safety net because the doors of mercy is closed. The grace period is ending. And all your trials and tribulations should have done nothing but build your faith, build your relationship to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, man. Or should I say toward Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim HaChodash. So going to 2nd Ezra, because we're in these times, man. We're in the times of, the uproars of the people. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 verse 1, it says, he answered me then and said, measure. And what do you use to measure? You got to use the scriptures, man. You got to be in this word. That's why it says, blessed is he that readeth and keepeth the words of this prophecy. Because the time is at hand, man. As we see these signs pass, we're seeing that the time is at hand, man. We've seen the Fourth Reich's Gestapo showing their ass, man. And they look like the same troops that were in those Purge movies, man. Which that's all predicted programming. It says, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So you so-called white people, you in trouble, man. Because Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai is going to return, and he's going to be angry, man. He's going to be pissed. And those signs represent the prophecies, man. So when we see certain things happening, as far as news go, we're barking. We're warning you people, man. Look, this is what's coming. Be prepared. Doesn't it not say, prepare thyself for thy battle? For a lot of us, it's been one battle after another, man. You know? Which that's how the Most High wants his movie. You gotta deal with it. You gotta roll with the punches, man. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and here it is, you got Donald Trump talking about Iran, but shit, what about in your own country, man? How many protests, how many times did these people protest throughout these decades, man? America's always had uproars. Why is that? Because the wicked are in authority, man, so the people are mourning. You know? That's why you have these uproars. Unlike these uproars with the citizenry of these foreign nations, you know, that's the devil sending his agent provocateurs in there to stir havoc, just to justify and, you know, using their military against certain nations, man. Which, you know, there's only two, soon to be one nation, I don't know, 2 or 3 nations. It might be still Venezuela, Iran, and North Korea that don't have a Rothschild central bank, man. Just so this damn devil could fuck with your money, could fuck up your economy, man. It says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So what's to take place and what has taken place was already written from the foundation of the earth, man. To the point even that even in another dimension it's already done, man. This place has already been destroyed. We're just living it out in this dimension. Which that wisdom, that knowledge goes over a lot of, you know, you unlearned and you sensual individuals' heads, man. Because why? Being sensual means you're carnal. You don't mind the things of the spirit, man. You mind the things of this world. You mind the things of your flesh. What makes you feel good, warm and fuzzy on the inside. Just like that ICE agent said to Mrs. Good, he said, "You fucking bitch." You know? And in all reality, that's what you reprobate, you people that avoid a judgment are. You just a fucking bitch. It says, for like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Just like when, you know, someone is approaching the end of their days, man. There's signs of age. There's signs of withering. Just as in this society right now, we're starting to see the signs of collapse. We're seeing the signs of a nation heading toward destruction. And even their own AI concurs. If you like ask the right questions, at least. It's like a damn genie in that Christina Aguilera song. You gotta rub it the right way, man. But I like playing with AI though, man. I use AI for, you know, just shooting the shit sometime, man. Sharpening my sword. That's a good way to sharpen your sword, man. You know, and I watched the video that Apostle Ramlob did. You got a corner chat, which I don't use chat, I use Copilot, but they're all the same, basically. I use Copilot for a lot of shit other than the truth, though. No, but that's a good way, you know, that's a good tool to use to sharpen your skills, man. Because you can have an actual conversation as if you were conversing with someone on the streets. Oh, okay, if this individual says this, I already know that dude talking to AI. They're gonna come up with this angle because AI is using all that theologian shit that what these so-called scholars believe, all their bullshit. So eventually you get sharpened and you could counteract and counterattack all those things, man. All the madness that spews out of these demons' mouth, man, because there ain't nothing but a bunch of demons. And like I always said, if I'm a demon, I've been ready to go. Shit. Who wants to be a part of the problem and continue to add to the problem, man? Not a nigga in his right mind. I mean, not a nigga. Yeah, not a nigga in his right mind. Making sure I said it right. It says, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works. So you gotta have works, man. I've had at least over 100 different pages that Esau took down, man. I remember one year I had 3,500 videos just in a year that I went back and, you know, counted my page videos. And I've been in this truth since March 2010. Which, you know, I say I've been in this truth since March 2010. That's the first time I went to camp underneath the banner of Great Millstone, man. Because really, you don't come into the truth unless you come into a camp. All you individuals that, you know, you said you came into the truth this year or that year, but you were out there on your own, solo dolo. And then when brothers actually, you know, come to you, you don't know shit. You didn't know shit and don't know shit until you came into Great Millstone, man. So when you really come into the truth is when you come into a camp, man. But there are exceptions. You might have certain brothers that, you know, they're the only ones in their location, but yet still they ought to, you know, get in contact with brothers of like minds, man, that have a good reputation, man. You know, because even the brother Manata Zakbar, which I've always watched him, even when he got kicked out of Great Millstone, I knew he was a man of the Lord, man. And I vouched for him. Because the Most High, he gives the gift of discernment, which not all men have. And Hey, the water Yahweh Shem Shah for preserving that brother, man, because he comes and lays the law down with those edifying videos, man. Which, you know, I'm pretty sure him being a man of Yahweh Shem Shah, he's going to give all praise to Yahweh Shem Shah and also credits to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, man, which we all should. Never deviated from that, man. It says, and by faith, you have to have faith, man, and faith is a gift. Not everybody got faith, man. Now you have to have blind faith. You have to have unwavering faith. You have to believe that once you pray, that's it. It's done. That's the type of faith you gotta have now, man. As soon as you put up a prayer and you ask for something, it's done. Because if you don't got that unwavering faith in Yahweh Shem Shah, your prayers are gonna be I think not quoting verbatim, they're gonna be they're gonna run amiss. I believe that's how it goes. He's not gonna answer you. He's not gonna answer them because you didn't ask aright, man. You didn't ask with a believing heart. With your heart as your mind. So you look outside and you see the one battle after another going on, and you start to get scared even after you prayed. Hey, the Most High might just kill your ass, man. It's like a woman, man. We're a woman, man. We gotta believe, not to sound all fucking not to sound all overly sexualized, but we gotta believe our daddy gonna get it done for us, man. Our husband, man. Our superhero. You know? We have to feel toward Yahweh Shai just as these women feel to these last action heroes in these movies, man. You know, we gotta, not to be overly sexualized, you gotta keep you gotta keep it moist down there, man. Cause you know that you know when you watching these certain movies, you know, and the hero saves the woman and shit, you know that woman is soaking. You know, she ain't dry. A lot of these niggas, they dry, man, and that's why they either bugging out, took a bag, or they back in the world, man. And I hate to use analogies like that, but hey, that's the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. We are his woman. It says, whereby ye have believed. Do you even believe, man? It says, shall be preserved from the said perils, the dangers, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. So the elect are sanctified from the beginning, man. Quick AI commentary says, signs, uproars of the people in the world, unstable times. And we're in unstable times, man. It seems like every video is like a threat. Now, I don't know if it's all satire or it's just a bullshit, uncredible news source like Hindu or Hindu Times and India Times. They always have these different videos that, really perk your ears up, man. Nonetheless, it seems like things is happening every day, man. Things are being said. That vibration is being pushed. That vibration of war, man. Which creates what? Unstable times. So what's the counterattack to unstable times? Having stability. And what's going to give us stability is this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, man. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 14. It says, woe, which means destruction, to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction. Now the ultimate sword is the nuclear missiles, but on the micro level, you got the gun. A tier below that, you got an actual a sword or knife. Because a lot of you been getting stabbed up, man. Getting your necks cut. And that's judgment from the Heavenly Father. It says, and one people shall stand up and fight against another. And that's what you're going to have here. You're going to have that here, right here in America, man. This is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 1. It says, the burden of America. Behold, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, really Yahushua rideth upon a swift cloud, which is a chariot, or a so-called UFO, and shall come into America, and the idols of America shall be moved at his presence, and the mind of America shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Americans against the Americans, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So it's going to be a civil war here in America, which is not going to be like it was when Esau was a retard in single file lines just getting mowed down. It's gonna be guerrilla warfare times 1,000, man. It's gonna be a bloodbath, really. You know? Going back to 2nd Esdras 15, it says, and swords in their hands. So, you're going to see a lot of that here going on, man. People are going to say to hell with this so-called white man and his fucking laws, man. And the Most High allowed the Rubicon to be crossed. Which that Rubicon is, you putting down a so-called white woman. The visage or the image of America. Because the real tearjerkers, according to you stupid people, is when women and children died, man. So they already pressed the button on that. So you're going to see a lot more devastation out here, man. You're going to see a lot more uproars out here. Verse 16, it says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. It's going to be a royal rumble, man. Not that Royal Rumble type attitude that one nigga was fucking trying to find himself participating in, and he ended up, you know, throwing his own self out of the ring, man. Like an idiot. Which, you know, that's comical, man. They try to throw everyone else out of the ring, and they end up getting fucking fadangled and tossed over the ropes. You know? But out here, it's gonna be like a Royal Rumble, man. Everybody pretty much for themselves. Because the Most High, he's gonna put the spirit out there where, you know, people are gonna be turning against each other. And the only ones that you could trust as a man in Yahweh Shem Yahushua are like-minded men. It says a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. They're gonna shut these cities down, man. They're gonna have travel restrictions. Go watch that movie Civil War again, man. Maybe I should do that when I get home and unwind, man, because today is gonna be an easy day for me, I think, man. Unless I get out of here before 7:30. Try to pick up another shift. But really, I just want to chill today, maybe do a few lessons. You know, pick back up at it. And get some rest, man. After, you know, doing a few lessons. And get back to work tomorrow, man. But my desire right now is just to do the work. Because there's so much going on, man. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And how are their houses going to be destroyed? Well, Donald Trump, or I don't know if it was him specifically, but someone said that ICE is going to be going door to door. So how's that going to play out amongst you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous? If they have no qualms of gunning down their own people. Which was probably a psyop. But eventually, you know, it's just gonna be real live cannon fire, man. Because we're approaching the time of that wine press expelling blood, man. It says, and men shall be afraid. Because you're gonna have missiles being shot on America. See, what these so-called white people don't understand, that they never won a war. But yet they brag and they boast in their military despite not ever winning a war. Oh, they won World War II. No, Russia won World War II, man. How would you give credit to a motherfucker that came in at the last minute and their only claim to fame was, you know, hitting Japan with 2 bombs that were experimental after Japan had already surrendered? It was Russia that won that war, man. And if you wanted to say who's going to win World War III, it's not going to be America. Yasha Allah is going to win World War III through Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. Verse 19, it says, a man shall have, and after we subjugate these nations, they're never going to rise against an immortal a being that can't die, which is probably a concept that goes over a lot of you niggas' heads that think that these nations are, after 1,000 years, they're gonna try to attack us. You gone, man. You off your rocker. It says a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, and your neighbor also means brother, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread. See, these wars and these tensions that Donald Trump is causing is going to cause a famine here in America, man. Which a lot of you people, you don't even see the food prices going up. It seems like, man. Where, you know, one slither of steak costs like 20, 30 bucks. A 5 pound of ground beef, which who knows what's in it, costs damn near $30 for 80/20. Or what is it? Yeah, 80/20. You know? Yeah, you people want to go to these clubs, these bars, spend your money on bullshit, taking these whores out on dates, and these whores are mad because niggas want to go 50-50, and then they talk about individuals being broke. Everybody's fucking broke, man. Motherfucker, you ain't in Kansas anymore. Everybody's fucking broke. But the only ones that really ain't complaining because they have the understanding what's going on are the men in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. They're the only ones that they have the understanding of what's really going on, man. It says, and for great tribulation. So all these prophetic scriptures are speaking right now, man. As cold as it is out here, I wish it was snow, man. I never really experienced being in a city that snowed all the time, man. But this is St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. It says, and you shall hear of wars and reports of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences. They're already releasing diseases. And you people are so nasty and so inconsiderate, you're super spreaders, man. Who knows if a patient zero is right next to you or not? And that's how Esau wants it. And what is he doing? He's putting viruses and fleas, ticks, and mosquitoes. Like the devil that he is, man. To bring about more sickness, because his agenda is depopulation, man. It says that earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So we're coming into the beginning of sorrows, ladies and gentlemen. These sorrows is gonna be worse than those horror movies you watch to go to sleep at night, man. It's gonna be a horror reality. This is Luke chapter 21, verse 9. It says, but when ye shall hear wars and commotions, Be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. So we're not supposed to be terrified, man, about what's going on. We're supposed to be excited. If you ain't excited, get excited. Like if you were test driving a car and a car salesman is trying to sell you some shit and he smashes that gas pedal and you know, give the devil the taste of a foot in his mouth so you can experience the power of the car. He'll tell you, you excited? Get excited. This could be yours. So we're getting excited because it can be ours, man. Victory. To finish our course. To be accepted worthy in the eyes of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. It says, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then said he unto me, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. You know, you had the blood moons and all these different moons. You know, and even that Arishnik missile is a fearful sight to you people, man. Especially when you look at the commentary. This is Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So, are people rejoicing? Hell the fuck no, they ain't rejoicing, man. Even in this city, they're trying to do a crackdown on, people that don't got license plates or really insurance and license registration. They want to ticket you. They want to ticket you and tow your car. Well, you're just adding on to the problems in which a person has to go through that is driving around like that in the first place, man. Trying to make ends meet. Trying to have a roof over their head, man. Trying to stay alive. They're showing you who the fucking devil is, man. And that's why these people are mourning, even so much that the children of this world are mourning, man. These Edomites are crying, man, because of hardships. You know? Key words, the word uproar, roars in the English, uproar equals tumult, riot, noisy confusion, insurrection. Concept in scripture often linked with tumult, seditions, commotions. It says, before the final judgment, the Most High stirs social instability, protests, riots, seditions, breakdown of trust in rulers, judgment and transition. These uproars are not random, they are controlled chaos from the Most High to destabilize the current system and prepare the stage for the final beast system and ultimately the kingdom. Overlay with today, sedition, civil unrest, governments losing control, people ignoring kings, nor princes, matches a world where order is collapsing. So a solution, new system, new currency, new control can be presented. Gotta make sure my fingers don't fall off, man. It's cold as fuck. Get frostbite out here, man. Let me go down to some commentary from news articles, corresponding news articles. It says Iran protests explode into 110 cities, sparked by economic collapse, currency devaluation, and government repression. Nationwide internet blackout to stop protests, coordination. 29 killed, 1,200 detained as unrest spreads. Bazaar merchants revolt over inflation and economic freefall. Youth-led uprisings predicted globally for 2026 due to rising costs and instability. Let's see what these Gen Zers are gonna do, man. Because they ain't used to hard shit, man. It's global unrest forecasted across major economies in 2026. So looks like this year is going to be a hell of a year, man. Which leads to whoa, whoa, whoa. Which that represents World War III. This is Revelation chapter 8, verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, flying in a chariot, saying with a loud voice, woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound. Which is dealing with World War III. Which is quoting Revelation. Oh, okay. It's going into the first woe and then the second woe. But I'm gonna skip that because we already almost at an hour. Or we over an hour. I don't want to give you no short video, camp video at least. Because that defeats the purpose of you even coming out here, man. This is Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. It says, the second woe is past, which is World War II. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. We're already in World War III, basically, man. I mean, it's not going to be announced and someone say, hey, we're in World War III. These nations are already fighting each other, man, in the inbound way. It says, and the seventh angel sounded, and there was great voices in heaven, saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of Yahweh Shai. Or I should say of Yahweh and his Hamashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. It says, in the 24 elders, which is 24, which sat before Yahweh in their seats, fell upon their faces and worshiped Yahweh, saying, we give thanks, O Yahweh, the power almighty, which art and was and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and hast reigned. And the nations were angry, and their wrath is come, in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroyed the earth, which is these Edomites. Revelation chapter 19, verse 11, it says, "And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse," which just represents Yahushua and his chariot, who the world only calls Jesus Christ. And he that sat on him, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, linking up to Isaiah the 63rd chapter. He's going to be destroying a lot of you people, man. And his name is called the Word of the Most High, and the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, upon so-called UFOs, man. Clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, which is a laser, that with it he shall smite the nations, and he shall rule them with the rod of iron, an armed fist. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of the almighty power. And he have on his vesture and on his thigh name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourself together unto the supper of the great power, which I believe you can find that in Ezekiel the 39th chapter. About how Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to allow these birds to feast on your corpses. It says that you may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast, which is NATO, and the EU, and the kings of the earth, these heathen nations, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. So they're going to try to they're going to try to fight Yahushua and the angels. And the beast was taken, so NATO's going to be destroyed, and with him the false prophet being the Vatican, that wrought miracles through their technology before him, with which he deceived them that had received the MOTB, which is that implantable C-hit, and them that worship this image, this system. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. They're gonna get hit with a nuclear missile, man. And that word brimstone represents contamination or radiation. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. It says, linked to final war climax, destruction of the armies, and return of Yahushua. Keyword woe from the Greek oe, a exclamation of grief, horror, severe judgment. Since not just sadness, but destruction, calamity, great misery. 3 woes equals intensifying judgments. The woes are heavy, targeted judgments at the end of the age. They escalate the tribulation to its peak, linked to world war. The third woe is commonly understood as World War III, the final nuclear level conflict that destroys the so-called white man's, aka Esau's, power structure and ushers in the kingdom. Spiritual read, woe, woe, woe is the Most High's ultimate emphasis. Triple confirmed misery on the wicked system. Each woe pushes the world closer to that last great war with Babylon, aka America, where America is judged by fire. Going to corresponding news articles. It says Global Security Threats 2026 report warns of enduring conflicts, hybrid warfare, and instability across multiple regions. Iran threatens crushing response amid rising tensions and protests. U.S.-Iran confrontation rhetoric intensifies as Trump warns Tehran of severe retaliation. These articles show the world sliding toward major power conflict, aligning with prophetic escalation toward the third woe. Cast out of houses, madmen, and ICE at the door. And this is what we've been, what we've been shown in the spirit by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua over the course of this week, man. I ain't giving up. I know it's cold as shit still. But we still got a lot of ways to go. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 68. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you." Which is, that's Esau, man. He wants to follow the path of the Philippines and El Salvador and how they did the test run through the orders of the bankers to orchestrate them pretty much purging their societies. It says, "And they shall take away certain of you," so certain of you gonna get locked up, detained, arrested, "and feed you, being idle." You're gonna be in these FEMA camps, these concentration camps, internment camps, with things offered onto idols. And reminds me of a Schindler's List, man. They're gonna have chipping stations, man, where they're going to be doing mass chipping. And I think the brain chip is going to be on more so of a upgraded luxury type of deal, man. The way it's looking. Because the mass majority of people, you're not going to get that. You're just going to get the hand chip. It says, "With things offered unto idols, and they that consent," which means agree unto them, "shall be had in derision, ridicule, and in reproach, and trodden underfoot. For there shall be in every place," so it says in every place, And in the next cities, a great insurrection upon those that fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, which is you Israelites, man. They shall be like mad men. They're going to be killing you people, man. Raping you women. Or raping you women. Hopefully my channel don't get fucked up. Still got to worry about those things, man. They're going to be doing all that, man. Because what happened? They gave that individual that killed Renee Good, they gave him complete immunity. And Donald Trump has been saying that he's going to give these law enforcement agency agents complete immunity so they could do whatever the hell they want with you. It says they should be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. And for the rest of you people, you're going to know that a prophet have been among you, man. This is Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, be tested. And ye shall have tribulation 10 days, a complete amount of time, whatever is prescribed unto your lot. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So you got to read the account, because I don't like calling them stories, but the account, the actual, something that actually happened of the 7 sons, man. And how they went out like spiritual G's. This is Luke chapter 21, verse 12. It says, but before all these things they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. Yeah, because eventually they're going to make it punishable by death, or labeling you a terrorist for even saying the name of Yahweh while Yahweh shot, man. This is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 5. And now the Assyrian in this particular verse now represents Esau in America. It says, O Assyrian, the rod of my anger, and the staff in their hand is my indignation. I will send him against a hypocritical nation, which is you 2/3, man. You YNs, you gang banging niggas, you simp niggas, you pimps, you drug dealing niggas, you whores, you degenerates. It says, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge, to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down with the mire of the streets. Howbeit, he meaneth not so, neither doth his heart think so, but it is in his heart to destroy and cut off nations, not a few. And that's what he's doing, man. He started with Venezuela. He's going to do Colombia. He's going to go to Mexico, Greenland, Nigeria, all throughout Africa, Iran. He wants Russia and China done. And that's all Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua using this damn devil, man. Key words, it says madmen, not literally insane only, but ruthless, unrestrained agents. Military, police, foreign troops, or domestic forces acting with no mercy. Cast them out of their houses, forced removal, raids, evacuations, mass arrests, relocations, FEMA type situations. Prophetic scenario, 2nd Ezra 16 is the camp go-to for door-to-door persecution. Madman equals state forces going house to house in a time of martial law, unrest, or emergency decrees. Why are they doing this? To test, sift, and pressure the believers. Also, to secure control over the population in a collapsing system, economic and social. Modern overlay. ICE going door to door, task forces, and any agency doing raids fits the prophetic pattern, but the deeper layer is this is the Most High using the sword to purge, sift, and glorify his elect through the tribulation. Corresponding news articles. It says ICE-related protests erupt across the U.S. after a fatal shooting sparking mass rallies and anger toward federal enforcement agencies. New video of ICE shooting surfaces, fueling unrest and fear government force. While not martial law yet, the public fear of federal agents, raids, and door-to-door enforcement fits the madmen prophetic archetype. This is the social conditioning phase before the full 2nd Ezra 16 scenario, man. Next is enemy coming in like a flood, which is it ties hand in hand with what we just read. Esau sending his armies, man. Which is the motto, I will say, of JSOC. This is Isaiah chapter 59, verse 19. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, which we're in the western hemisphere, and his glory from the rising of the sun, because he's returning from the east. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, that word flood represents armies. The spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against them, because there's going to be elect men that are going to receive spiritual powers. This is Psalms chapter 1. This is Psalms chapter 124, verse 1. A song of decrees of David. If it had not been Yahweh who was on our side, now may Yasha'Allah say, if it had not been Yahweh who was on our side, when men rose up against us. Now who's rising up now? Who's rising back up? Esau. Then they had swallowed us up quick when their wrath was kindled against us. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul. Blessed be Yahweh, who not given us as a prey to their teeth, which their teeth represents their military force. And you know, waters sometimes represents armies or the people. Verse 7, our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers, because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to save us. Yahushua Ratazal be of that number. He's going to save his elect. It says the snare, which is the trap, is broken and we are escaped. So the Esau's system is a snare that's going to be broken via thermonuclear missiles and also the lasers from the chariots. It says our help is in the name. You hear that, Nate? Nate the Snake? Which I done put a lot of curses on you wicked ass niggas, man. Tommy Sotomayor, he ain't the same. Fresh and Fit, they deteriorated. You know? Gonzo Lara, when he was talking shit, he ain't talking shit no more. And many others, man, that, you know, it'll be another hour to go through it, man. But that name is powerful, man. It says who made heaven and earth. So the elect are gonna call on that name for help. Right? So keyword flood, literal sense, overwhelming waters. Prophetic sense, overwhelming military force. Persecution, propaganda, or legislation that covers the people like water. Enemy as a flood represents massive, overwhelming pressure. Troops, laws, surveillance, media, all converging on Yahweh's people. Standard lifted. When this flood comes, the Most High lifts up a standard. Divine protection, spiritual power. This is AI saying this. Angelic intervention, and ultimately Yahweh's return. So we ain't got nothing to worry about, man, if you believe. And then it goes into the dragon's flood, which really is a flood of lies, but I'll read what it says. With the AI, it says Revelation 12 shows the system unleashing resources, information, warfare, slander, going back to the lies, persecution, legal moves like a flood to break faith and push people into submission to the beast system. Going to corresponding news articles, it says Iran shuts down the entire internet, which America's going to shut their internet down too. And that's when a lot of you people are going to find the Russian window, man, to jump out of. You know? All you influencers, all you Instagram hoes, your life is going to be cut off, man, like an umbilical cord, man. You ain't gonna have no meaning to life in that day, man. And then you gotta deal with the shit stacked on top of it. The desperation, the hunger, the neglect. Cause a lot of you women, you fat, you nasty, out of shape, you beat body bitches. Ain't nobody gonna wanna deal with you, man. They gonna want the cream of the crop, man. Because if they can't get the cream of the crop, they're going to just take it. So really the jokes is on you people, man. Especially you stupid hoes. And hey, you don't think those ICE agents being granted immunity, absolute immunity, you don't think they gonna get busy on your your BBL? they gonna whoop you so bad that bitch might pop, man. And ooze all that Fix-A-Flat. Motherfuckers putting Fix-A-Flat in their ass, man. But then again, that's Esau and how he warped you women's mind with these comic books, man. With Marvel having Rogue looking all like what she was looking like and Storm looking like what she was looking like, promoting unrealistic expectations, man. It says government forces crack down with lethal force used in multiple provinces. Regime expands repression beyond central regions using heavy-handed tactics. The flood here is informational, military, and governmental, overwhelming the people with force and suppression. Because they're getting ready for the economic collapse, right? And this is what all these different YouTubers been saying that's been on the line of prophecy all these years. They all talked about a great reset. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Which that mark is in reference to the microchip. This is Revelation chapter 6, verse 5. It says, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand, which represents famine. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil in the wine. It says third seal, famine, high food prices, economic strain. That's when these women are gonna really say the hell with that, going 100 and looking for a provider. I just need a man. Cause a lot of these so-called men, they ain't gonna be men in these days, man. They gonna fold the fuck up. These motherfuckers acting and talking like they authoritative and talking like they hard, man. Me personally, man, I just talk to them soft. With that whole Bane aura. Do you feel like you're in charge? You know? Why they think that they're in charge, man? These are the same niggas that's gonna be fucking crying and weeping and howling, man. Do you feel you're in charge? This is St. James chapter 5, verse 1. It says, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Which the rich man starts with those richly bankers, man. They're going to be the first crop of slaves, man. It says, your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Because eventually you're going to be destroyed, and you're going to go into hardcore slavery, man. And let me put an emphasis on righteous hardcore slavery, because we're not going to do you like you did us. This is Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 19. They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. They're gonna confiscate all your shit, man. That's an easy thing for them to do, man. So if you were to barter, you would have to barter with someone who has knowledge of use of those certain precious metals, man. If not, hey, the government is just gonna confiscate that shit and put the end of a rifle butt to your fucking brain, man. As you see them already doing. They whooping people's asses out there, man. All throughout America, these LEs are beating people to a pulp, man, as if they were a superhero cape crime fighter or something, man. A vigilante like Batman going on missions at night, beating people to a pulp, man. As Morgan Freeman said in the movie, it says, their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahweh. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. So that gold and silver ain't gonna be doing shit for you people, man. That cryptocurrency, you already saw how volatile that shit was. Which a lot of you lost a lot of crypto. You got that asshole, not a General Green, talking about 10x this and 10x that. I put a curse on that piece of shit too. I'm putting curses on all you bitches. That ain't right, man. And I think I put a curse on that nigga, Captain Tazariak, man. I don't wish death on people. I just put a curse on you, man. I hope. I put the curse. I pray that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua kills your fucking ass, man. Reading 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 18 again, it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So key words, buy, sell. Going back to not 2nd Ezra, but Revelation chapter 13, verse 15, I believe, or 16. It says daily survival, access to resources, pattern, currency devaluation, food inflation, supply chain breakdown, digitalization of money, full control grid, control collapse. The global financial system rots from within, riches fail, elites hoard wealth, and the masses suffer famine and scarcity. Why collapse? To justify a new economic system. Old money becomes useless or heavily restricted. The solution is presented as a single control system tied to identity and obedience. Prophetic function. Economic collapse is the bridge between today's semi-free system and the Revelation 13 system, where access to buying and selling is conditional. Because it's going to be based upon a chip. Corresponding news articles. Iran's currency collapses, triggering nationwide protests and economic panic. Economic freefall cited as the root cause of the 2026 Iranian protests. So just imagine what happens here in America, man. Global economic instability predicted for 2026, with major economies at risk of unrest. Teaching angle. These articles show the exact economic triggers described in prophecy: currency devaluation, inflation, scarcity, social breakdown. This is the setup for Revelation 13's control economic system. Six, the microchip implant in the mark of the beast. Which I'll read it again, because that's what's next, man. That's one of the next major prophecies. And it all could be done this year. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." Keyword Greek charagma means a engraving, stamp, imprinted mark, a thing carved or etched, used for imperial seals, brands on slaves, or official imprints. Camp understanding. A physical, technological cutting in that links a person into the beast's economic and control system. Verse 17, it says, "And that no man might buy or sell save he that had that mark," save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. It says physical plus systemic, because charagma is an engraved, imprinted mark coupled within the right hand, forehead, and tied directly to buying and selling. The camp breakdown views this as a physical implant, commonly applied to microchip technology, biodigital ID, not just a spiritual mark, from chaos to chip, because they want to bring that, the chip, in as a solution to the chaos. This is Revelation chapter 14, verse 9. It says, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand," which that mark in your forehead is well, here in America, is the Neuralink, the brain interface. No, Elon Musk is not a good guy. He's a fucking dope addict. Verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and contamination, brimstone, in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. Because of that nuclear destruction, the smoke is going to be bellowing for a very long time, man, until it subsides. And what's left is nothing but a smoldering desert. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. It says, those who receive the mark and worship the beast receive unmixed wrath from the Most High. This is Revelation chapter 20, verse 4. It says, and I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shai and for the word of Yahweh, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither have received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with the Mashiach 1,000 years. It says, those who refused the mark were beheaded for the testimony of Yahweh Shai, reigned with him. Corresponding news articles, it says, while the research results didn't surface a specific microchip article, they did show governments shutting down internet and communications to control populations, digital censorship and surveillance used to suppress protests, global security analysis warning of new digital control frontiers in 2026. These articles demonstrate the infrastructure needed for Revelation 13, digital control, centralized communication, surveillance, economic pressure. The technology is already here. The crisis is what will justify its full rollout. So going up, it says, uproars, wars, economic collapse create fear and desperation. People are willing to trade freedom for stability. The beast system offers a universal solution. Digital ID plus payment system integrated in the body, giving access to food, travel, healthcare. Refusing it makes you an enemy of the state, cut off from buying and selling. Ultimate test of allegiance. The mark is about who you serve. Accepting it equals submitting to the beast for survival. Refusing it equals trusting Yahweh Shai unto death if necessary, with the promise of rulership in the kingdom. So that's all I got on this one for this week. Hope at least one brother of the elect was edified. And I'm going to say shalom. Ooh, man.